Hi everyone, I am Monica Jane S. Quizon. My assigned topic is about gender identity in the Philippine society. Gender identity refers to a person's inner sense of who they are, whether male, female, both, neither, or anywhere along the gender spectrum. It may or may not match the sex assigned at birth. In the Philippines, people express diverse gender identities and orientations. Ang gender identity mao ang internal nga pagbati sa usa ka tawo kung unsa siya. Pwede siya mobati nga babaye, lalaki, duha, wala o naa sa tunga-tunga sa gender spectrum. Dili ni parehas permi sa gender nga gi-assign sa iya pagkaanak. Number 1. Heterosexual. Individuals attracted to people of the opposite sex, men to women, women to men. Mao ang tawo nga ganahan o naay romantic o sexual attraction sa lahi nga gender. Kung lalaki, ganahan sa babaye. Kung babaye, ganahan sa lalaki. 2. Homosexual. Individuals attracted to people of the same sex, often identified as gay, lesbian, or queer. Mao ang tawo nga ganahan o naay romantic or sexual attraction sa parehas niya o gender. Ang lalaki nga ganahan sa lalaki, tawagon siya og gay. Ang babaye nga ganahan sa babaye, tawagon pud siya og lesbian. Mao pud niyang LGBTQ, ug usahay tawagon pud og queer. 3. Bisexual. People attracted to more than one gender or sex. Mao ang tawo nga makabati og attraction sa duha ka gender, both lalaki ug babaye. Dili pasabot nga dapat duha imong uyab feelings lang pwede sa lahi gender ug nga gender. 4. Transsexual and transgender. Transsexuals undergo medical procedures to align their body with their gender identity. Tawo nga ni-undergo og medical procedures sama sa hormone therapy o gender-affirming surgery aron ma-match ilang lawas sa ilang gender identity. Transgender. People identity with a gender different from their birth sex but may not undergo surgery. Tawo nga laing gender identity kaysa silang pagkatawo or pag-assign pagkaanak, pero dili kinahanglan nga moagi og surgery. 5. Pansexual. Individuals attracted to others regardless of gender. Attraction is based on personality or emotional. Mao ang tawo nga makabati og attraction bisag unsay gender, babaye, lalaki, transgender, non-binary, ug uban pa. Ang gender dili importante, ang ilahang attraction naka-base sa personality o pagkatawo. 6. Asexual. People who do not experience sexual attraction toward any gender. This is a valid sexual orientation, not a medical condition. Mao ang tawo nga walay sexual attraction sa bisan kinsa, dili kundi siya sakit. Dili pud pareha sa celibacy. Ang celibacy kay choice, ang asexuality kay identity. Pwede gihapon silang involved o romantic relationship pero dili lang sila makabati og sexual desire. And that's all.
Hello everyone, right now we're going to discuss the basic human rights and well-being of LGBT person based on the psychological science of SOGI. The statements below are taken from Psychological Association of the Philippines or PAP in its stance against discrimination based on sexual orientations and gender identity and expression or SOGI. SOGI refers to the various characteristics of human beings, including sexual orientations, emotional romantic or sexual attraction to men or women or both genders, and one's sense of identity based on those attractions. So SOGI covers various aspects of a person, including sexual orientations, gender identity and expressions, So, ang sexual orientation is all about your emotional, romantic, or sexual attractions. Number 2, being transgender is different being gay or lesbian. Transgender people are individuals whose gender identities and gender expression differ from those typically associated with the sex they were assigned. So, ang pagiging transgender ay hindi pareho sa pagiging gay or lesbian. Ang transgender ay tumutukoy sa mga taong ang gender identity kay lahi sa sex na naitagala sa katong gipanganak sila. Ay, grabe. 3. Being lesbian or gay, bisexual, and transgender are part of the normal variation of human sexuality and gender identity. So, in other words, ang pagkakaiba na ito ay natural at hindi okay lang. Di dapat siya gamiton ingon rason para mo discriminate o hatulan ang isig katawo. Attempts to change a person's psyche are ineffective and can cause harm, leading to mental health problems. Research show conversions effort don't lead to lasting changes. So, inig ang pagtatangka na baguhin ang psyche ng isa ka tawo ay hindi daw epektibo at maaaring kasakit o maapektuhan ang mental health. Ayon sa pag-aaral ng mga conversation therapy ay hindi nagtatagumpay na mabago ng psyche ng isang tao sa pangmatagalan. So, gender dysphoria refers to a conflict between one's assigned gender and identified gender. Not all transgender individuals experience this conflict, so diagnosis doesn't apply to everyone who's transgender. So, not all transgender ay may gender dysphoria daw. Naiuban na komportable sa kanilang lawas o dili sila makabati og discomfort. Number 3, LGBT plus individuals in the Philippines face stigma or discrimination and violence affecting their mental health and well-being. This includes bullying, physical and sexual violence, denial of entry to public spaces, and discriminations in hiring, healthcare, and housing. So in other words, we need a lot of understanding and respect at suporta para sa mga LGBT plus community. Number 7, policies and laws promoting equal rights and prohibiting discrimination can reduce SOGI-related stigma, leading to better mental and physical health for LGBT plus individuals. Anti-discriminations are linked to improve well-being and reduce health risks. Ang mga policies o laws na nagtataguyod na pantay ng karapatan at nagbabawal sa diskriminasyon ay makakatulong na mabawasan ang stigma laban sa LGBT plus community na magre-resulta sa mas magandang mental at physical na kalusugan para sa kanila.
This topic is continuation of El Tagonte. This topic are sexually transmitted diseases. Sexually transmitted diseases are infections spread through sexual contact. They can be caused by bacteria, viruses, or parasites. Then, symptoms of STDs is vary depending on the infection, but common ones include: example, unusual discharge. What it look like: cloudy, yellow, green, or bloody fluid from the penis or vagina. It different from normal clear or white discharge. So the common types of STDs is chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, the HIV, and herpes. HPV is viral infection that can cause genital warts and continuous type of cancer. So there are over 100 types of HPV, but not all of the cause health problems. Some types can cause low risk. HPV is genital warts. Then while others can cause high risk HPV is to cancer. And that's all of my report, ma'am. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. This is our report. Syphilis is mao na siyang sakit nga dili mabantayan, dili makita. So ang sintomas ani is magburot-burot ang panit kung asa dapat ang infection like sa baba atong private part. So makuha ni sa nga sakit is to sexual contact or sex sa tawo na is syphilis. Dapat yun matabalan ni nga sakit kaya radiation ni katog. So aron malikayan ni nga sakit is kung makik-sex or sexual contact, dapat magamit ng protection and magpa-check up or magpa-test regularly, avoid having sexual contact with a person who has sore or usual discharge from genital or mouth, and keep yourself clean and practice good hygiene. HIV. Ang HIV is mo ni ang virus nga makapahina sa atong immune system, ang dali na matakdan og mga lain-lain nga sakit. So, ang sintomas ani is fever, sakit sa lawas, headache, rashes, makuha ni sa sakit is to sexual contact sa tao nga dili magamit og protection. If matakdan ka ni is mahimo na dayon siyang AIDS. So, karon na sa tambal aron makontrol ni nga sakit. If a person with HIV is starts treatment and continue with maintenance, and they can live just as long a person without HIV. Gonorrhea is also known as cleft disease that is transmitted sexual contacts caused by bacteria. So karon datong tao ang naay gonorrhea ug walay mabatian nga tinuod. Maong usahay dili nila mabatian nga na-infection na sila. Ang symptoms ani is white, yellow or green discharge from panis, sakit pangingi or sexual contact, sakit ang katutundan if infection sa baba. So if dili siya matambalan, infection of urethra, prostate, or prostacle from sa lalaki, pelvic inflammatory disease para sa babae, or dili na siya pwede makapaburos. Pubic lines is mo ni ang virus nga makuha sa sexual contact or kanang magpaulam-ulam og mga gamit. Dapat yun aware ka tanan ani kay once na matakdan ta ani nga virus sa atong genital is naipasibol nga mudaghan siya. Ang sintomas ani is pagpangatol sa genital, ilog, kilay, pilik mata. Trichomoniasis is a bacteria nga makuha sa sexual contact na na-infection. The symptoms include itching and burning in genital area, usual discharge from feces, meal, and pain during orientation or sex. If dili siya matambalan, masakit na ay possible nga ma-infection sa ihi or sa reproductive infection or makabaog. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. Natural methods of contraception. We are seven main natural methods. First, abstinence. Abstinence, not having sex, 100% effective. So abstinence, choosing to not have sex, refraining from alcohol or drugs, and avoiding certain foods. So second, we have calendar method. Calendar method, avoiding sex during fertile days around 12 to 14 days before the next period. So ang calendar methods, calculating example of calculating a woman's fertile window by using her previous menstrual cycles to predict her current fertile days. And the third, basal body temperature, tracking daily temperature to identify ovulation. And the fourth, we have cervical mucus method. Cervical mucus method, observing mucus which become damp and watery during fertile days. So, ang cervical example of cervical method, rub it The best way to feel consistency of your mucus is to rub it and fold it between your thumb and index finger. And the next, symptothermal method. Symptothermal methods combines temperature and mucus tracking more reliable. And the next, ovulation detection kits. Home test that detect hormone surge before ovulation. And the last, coitus interruptus, withdrawal method less reliable. So, muna to katong 7 methods, natural methods. Overall, these methods depend on knowing the woman's cycle and identifying fertile days to avoid pregnancy.
Good morning. This is our report about artificial methods. Contraceptive. Community now as the fields oral of contraceptive contain the systematic origin, the restitution, which of the second of the book.
Good morning, ma'am. My report is all about the material sold by William James. In 1890, American psychologist William James explained the principle of psychology that a person's self includes everything they call their own, not only their body and mind, but also their clothes, family, reputation, and also even their mind. So according to William James, our self includes everything we call their own, not only the body but also mind, and also sa atong mga things like also money, car, house, it's belong to the self. Then William James divided into 3 parts of self. 1 is the material self, 2 is social self, 3 spiritual self, and 4 pure ego. Material self, our body, clothes, family, and home. So, ang material self is, like for example, ang belongings like cars, house, then our body, clothes, and family, and home. That is the material self. Then 2, social self, how others perceive us. Like, how others see ourselves, like how we yung sa kanila describe to ourselves. That is the social self. Then also 3, spiritual self, our inner thoughts, feeling, and values. This is that spiritual self for me is like meditation, like praying, like Sunday, then kanang go ka sa church. That is belong to spiritual self. 4, pure ego, our sense of identity. Like to pure ego, like makasense dito ka sa like makasense dito ka na sa the way na saan siya na have our own sense. Then the body is the pure of the material self because it represents our physical being. People value highly taking care of dress. And also the clothes come next in next diversity. They reflect our personality and are part of our self-expression. So according to William James, believes that our attires influence our attitude and how other people look at kanang yung sabi ko describe sa tao because of our attire. Then, as the material self shows how our physical position, appearance, and surroundings become the extension of who we are. They represent our identities, values, and related to the world. So, the material self show our physical appearance and surrounding become the extension of who we are, kanang unsata, and they represent our identity, values, and we related to the world.
This paragraph talks about the idea of Russell Bulk, a well-known researcher who said that we are and what we have. This means that the things we own, our possession, are an important part of who we are as people. He believed the clothes we wear, the gadgets we use, even our favorite books or toys can reflect our personalities. There is evidence that shows our possession affect us in many ways. For example, people feel emotional pain when they lose belongings like sentimental items. Studies also show this in situations involving good grades, self-perception, and property rights. This paragraph also explains that the extended self includes the things we do, the things we have, and the things we experiences. These all role play in forming our identity. Bilg says, even as babies, we start learning the difference between ourselves and the world as. Ang bata makatan nga ilo nilang kaugalingon, pinagi sa butang kaniya og sa butang nga dili iya. As we grow, we also learn to see our possession as part of who we are. Although our desire material possession, we may listen as we age. Their importance in our lives continues to remain strong. This part says we use our possession to show who we are and to express our personality. Our things remind us happy moments, people we love, and our life achievements. Sometimes possession give us to sense of living on after that, like heirlooms that represent us to future generation. Accumulations of our possession become like a record of our past. They remind us who we are, where we came from, and where we might be heading. Naghatag og ideya kung asa ta paingon sa ato ang kinabuhi. This paragraph explain that some possession nga ang uban nga butang nga gikan sa mga katigulangan na pabilin gihapon nga importante and meaningful even after they are gone. These items are often treasured by the families because they hold memories and the stories from the past. For example, chinaware or dishes from a grandmother that we keep safely so they won't break. Old car owned by a grandfather that we don't use anymore but cannot sell it because it has a sentimental values like trophies, collection, paintings belong to ancestors. These objects are kept not because they are useful but because they are part of the families and they get passed down from one to another generation, serving as reminders where the families came from and the help the families tells the history. In short, this possession become immortal because their many lives and through the family. This paragraph talks about the idea of the extended self. It says who we are is not just about ourselves as individuals, kundi apil usab ang atong pamilya, groups we belong to, culture, and even our country. These bigger levels of self help explain why people sometimes do things that seem selfless. Kinaghunahuna siya para sa grupo, kundi kundili kundili lang siya ang kagalingon. This paragraph also mentions that our possessions like collections, money, pets, other people or even parts of our body are connected to our sense of who we are. In other words, the things we own or care about can become part of our identity. Finally, the idea of the extended self is important because it helps explain different human behaviors, especially consumer behavior, or why we buy or keep certain things.
Good morning, Ma'am Delany. So, here I am discussing about the psychology of ownership by Jane Piaget. So, according to Jane Piaget, she discovered that a sense of ownership and attachment can develop at a very young age. Jean Piaget works with children. He uncovered a profound truth about human nature wherein our sense of ownership developed extraordinarily. In his 1932 book, The Judge of the Child, Piaget observes that even babies express jealousy over objects. So, ang baby daw or ang child is maka-express na of jealous in a very young age. Example ani is kuan. Ang isa ka bata is nagulaan. So, siya pod nga gusto siya nga na siya gulaan. So, ka-express siya og jealous kay gusto siya nga kuan wala siya dulaan niya ang isa is naa. And then when Batya Leach and her colleagues in 2008 found 22 months old dying with their fears in daycare. Nearly a quarter of resources of contact for overpositions were child either defended his or her object. So, ang kwan daw, ang bata is para daw maka-avoid daw of conflict, dapat sila is makakuan sila, makabalon sila sa kung sa ila or ang ila adjust para avoid conflict. So, the idea that we can own something and possess it as part of ourselves is one that children grasp by the age of 2, and by 6 they exhibit the endowment effect. So, by the age of 2 daw and 6, kay kuan daw, ang children is makakuan siya o grasp. And by the age of 6 daw, they exhibit the endowment effect. A study by Ori Friedman and Karen Neri in 2008 showed that age between 2 or 4 kids make the assumption that whoever is the first decision of the object is the owner. So, at the age of 2 or 4 daw is makabalong na ang bata or maka-express siya of position. So, i-adjust yung object. An intriguing study by Bruce Wood and Paul Bloom, the majority of 3 to 6 years old children prefer to take home their original attachment object as opposed to adopting it made by the copying machine. So according to Bruce Wood daw and Paul Bloom is kuan daw. At the age of 3 to 6 years old, ang bata daw is makakuan siya. They prefer to take home their original object than to copying machine objects. So that's all, man, and thank you.
So my discussion is all about the spiritual self. So William James, 1819, 1902, 1910, 1968, describe identity development through two aspects of the self, the I and the me. The I is the conscious objective agent that connects the various me's, which include the material self, social self, and spiritual self. So I. So what is I? So the I is the active knower, the one who thinks, feels, and experiences. While I me is what the I knows, including the material self, social self, and spiritual self. Then, so ayon pa kay James, ang atuang sense of life ay nabubuo mula sa iba't ibang uri ng me. Ang material me, social me, and spiritual me. So ang material me is mao ni ang physical nanyo sa pagkatawo. While ang social me is mao na siya ang pananaw sa ubang tawo sa imuha. Then ang spiritual me is mao na siya ang panloob sa pagkatawo. So the spiritual self represents one's inner thoughts and feelings, often described as the core or sanctuary of life, and is the highest level of self-organization above the material and social self. So what is the spiritual self? So for me, a spiritual self is mo nang pinakatinod sa imong self or sa imong inner self. Nga it represents our thoughts or imong pagunahuna, feelings or imong konsensya. So na po siya connection sa tuang pagpangita sa tuang purpose, sa tuang kinabuhi or meaning of life. So described as the core or sanctuary. So ang core is mo na siyang pagkatao kung unsa jud ta. Kini ang magay sa tuang values, beliefs or sa tuang moral decisions. So, James suggested that while the spiritual self can be understood through psychological and physiological processes, it may also involve metaphysical aspects such as the soul to fully understand the nature of the I. So, para kang James, ang spiritual self, the I is the highest form of self above the material and social levels. It involves a moral and emotional life and may include the soul or a connection to the divine. So, Paul and Smith 2003. Psychological insight of the spiritual self. Naitulo. So, number 1, individuals seek a sense of self that is connected and separate from others with whom they interact. So gusto sa mga tao nga konektado sa uban but still maintain the individuality. So, number 2, individuals seek a sense of continuity and consistency in how they view themselves. So, they seek continuity and stability in how they see themselves through time. Na gusto nila na iligon ng padayong pagpangumusta sa ilang kagalingon bisan pa man na magbago ang ilang kahimtang sa kinabuhi. So, number 3, individuals seek to organize and understand themselves in relations to others and to their experiences. So, they try to understand themselves based on their experiences and relationships to find meaning and inner peace. This process allows them to integrate their past, present, and future selves into one coherent identity. They also outlined 4 stages of spiritual identity development. Number 1, a stage of being unaware of oneself as distinct yet connected to others. So, man siya ang walay paghuna-huna o paglambo sa kagalingon o magsalig na lang sa ubang tinuoan sa uban. So, number 2, a stage of learning crisis or conflict that challenges self-awareness. So, muna siya ang pagsulay sa tuwang kinabuhi nga nagdala sa pagpangutana sa tuwang kagalingon like ka nang makaya ka na ito niya itong challenges sa tuwang kinabuhi or ka nang masakit future na ito mahumantaan na mangnana. So, number 3, a stage of progressively experiencing and creating the self and relation to the world and to others. So, nagsugod ang tao sa pag-shape sa ilang sense of self through interaction and experiences with the world and others. So, the last, a stage of integrating experiences into a clear sense of self and others, providing meaning, coherence, and continuity. So, ang mga experiences kay gi-combine siya into a clear understanding sa tuwang kagalingon. Kung sa ubang gihatag siya og meaning, coherence, og stable sense of identity. And that's all. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. I'm here in front of you to discuss about the religion and ritual. So first, the religion. An early attempt to define religion was by Edward Burnett Taylor's belief in spiritual beings. For Taylor, 1832 to 1917, all religious is a mistaken attempt to make sense of the physical world in which we live as rational as science but simply erroneous. So, Edward Burnett Taylor believed that religion was a human attempt to explain the world through the belief in spiritual beings. In his view, religion was a way for humans to make sense of their surroundings, similar to how science operates but based on mistaken belief. So, let's proceed to number 2. So, Malinowski, 1948, defined religion as a response to emotional stress. When technical knowledge proved insufficient, human beings turned to magic and religion in order to achieve their ends and as a form of catharsis. So, Malinowski believed that religion is a response to emotional stress, especially when technical knowledge or rational thought is not enough to solve problems. He viewed religion as a practical tool used by humans to address their emotional needs and overcome challenges they face in life. So, let's proceed. The French sociologist Émile Durkheim saw religion not as an individual response to life crisis but as the embodiment of society's highest goals and ideals. It is real in that it exists in people's minds and impels them to heed societal dictates but what is perceived as external to society. God is in fact a projection and reflection of society, or Bowie 2006. So, according to Emile Durkheim viewed religion as more than just an individual response to life crisis, but as a reflection of society's collective values and ideas. He believed that religion served as a cohesive force that binds individuals together and reinforces societal norms and values. So, number 4. Clifford Geertz, a contemporary American anthropologist, has offered a definition of religion that combines Durkheim's symbolic functionalism, religion as a collective societal act, with Max Weber's concern for meaning, religious as a system of ordering the world. By combining Durkheim's emphasis on social function of religion with Weber's focus on the importance of meaning, Geertz offers a comprehensive view of religion as a dynamic and multifaceted phenomenon that influences both individuals' behavior and societal structures. So, number 5. Religion for Geertz is number 1, a system of symbols which acts to number 2, establish powerful, pervasive, and long-lasting moods and motivation in men by formulating conception of a general order of existence, and number 4, clothing this conception with such an aura of punctuality that, number 5, the moods and motivation seem uniquely realistic. So let's proceed to number 6. Gavin Flood, an English scholar of religion, describes religion as value-laden narratives and behaviors that bind people to their objectives, to each other, and to non-empirical claims and beings. Moreover, religion are less about truth and claims and more about identity, less about structures and more about text, less about abstraction and more about tradition or that which is passed on. So, Flood emphasizes that religion is not solely about truth claims or doctrines, but rather about the narratives, values, and practices that connect individuals to their goals, to one another, and to ideas beyond the material world. So the last one is Rebecca Stein and Philip Stein, 2016, defined religion as a set of cultural beliefs and practices that usually includes some or all of basic characteristics. These characteristics are, number 1, a belief in an anthropological supernatural being, such as spirit and gods. Number 2, a focus on the sacred, supernatural, where sacred refers to a feeling of reverence and awe. Number 3, the presence of supernatural power or energy that is found on supernatural beings as well as physical beings and objects. 4, the performance of ritual activities that involves the manipulation of the sacred object to communicate to supernatural beings and or to influence or control events. 5, the articulation of worldview and moral codes through narratives and other means. And last, provide the creation and maintenance of social control within a community, explain a known and a sense of control for individuals. So the next topic is all about ritual. According to the dictionary, is a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. So rituals are often symbolic in nature and may involve gesture, words, object, or movements that hold special significance within a particular religious or cultural context. Stein, 2016, described rituals as two prescriptive and situational. So first, perspective rituals are rituals that are required to be performed. So these rituals are typically established by religious authorities or community leaders, are considered essential practices for members of the group. Second, situational rituals or crisis rituals. On the other hand, are other rituals that perform because of a particular need of an individual or a community. So these rituals may be conducted to address a specific problem, crisis, or milestone in an individual's or community lives, such as illness, death, marriage, or natural disaster. The tragedy of September 11, 2001 in the United States gave rise to many situational rituals, some as simply as flying a flag, lit candles, and left photographs. The same definition is also given by Pinner 2020 that rituals are the performance of ceremonial acts prescribed by tradition or by sacerdotal decree. It is a specific observable mode of behavior exhibited by all known societies or as way of defining or describing humans. As a distinguishing feature of ritual behavior from other types of action, rituals are sacred or the transcendent realm, and profane or the realm of time, space, and cause and effect. So the sacred nature of rituals often involves a connection to spiritual beliefs, higher powers, or supernatural forces, and they are viewed as important for maintaining harmony, order, and connection with the sacred. So the profane realm is associated with the mundane, earthly, and pragmatic aspect of life, where action have direct consequences and are grounded in observable material reality. In the community, the function of ritual is that of providing the proper rules for action in the realm of the sacred as well as supplying a bridge for passing into the realm of profane. Three further characteristics are generally used to specify ritual. First, a feeling or emotion of respect, fascination, or dread in relation to the sacred. Second, it depends upon a belief system that is usually expressed in the language of myth. And the third, it is symbolic in relation to its reference. Rituals serve as foundational aspect of community life, offering a means to connect with the sacred, uphold cultural traditions, and provide a framework for understanding the spiritual and practical dimensions of human. Thank you.
Good day, Mom. This is my report. Some religions of the world. The major religion of the world, like Christianity, Islam, Confucianism, Judaism, and Hinduism, and Taoism, differ in many aspects, including how they organize and uphold the belief system. So first, Hinduism. Hinduism is the oldest religion emphasizing Dharma or moral law and a belief in a supreme God manifested in various forms. Example, the Vedas are sacred texts that contain knowledge and Dharma. So, next, Buddhism. Focused by Siddhartha Gautama or Buddha around 500 BCE, focused on achieving enlightenment through moral living. Example, the Four Noble Truths describe the natures of suffering and practical liberation. So, ang first guy is first, this life is suffering. Kadua, suffering arises from attachment to desires. Third, suffering ceases. Fourth, freedom from the possible by following the middle way. So, next, Confucianism. Founded by Confucius, focused on ethics and respects for tradition and authority. Example, the Analects, which contains Confucius' teachings on self-discipline and good conduct. Nag-focus siya sa pagtudlo kung saan pagdisiplina sa kagalingon o sa mayong pamatasan. So, Taoism. Next, Taoism. Taoism founded by Lao Tzu in the achieving inner peace and harmony. Example, the concept of how as the natural way of path of life. So, next, Judaism. Judaism covenant relations with God, where Jews follow the laws of the Torah. Example, the story of the liberations of Israelites from slavery in Egypt. Islam. Islam are monotheistic religions based on the teaching of Prophet Muhammad, meaning peace and submission. Example, the 5 pillars of Islam, including daily prayers and fasting during Ramadan. So 5 pillars is first, declaration of faith, prayer, almsgiving, fasting, or pilgrimage. So next, Christianity. Christianity, the largest religion, focused on teaching of Jesus that emphasize love and charity. Example, the Bible, which contains the Old Testament and New Testament, narrating the life of Jesus and the teaching of the discipline. So, Joining Christianity, nag-focus siya sa
Hello, good day. Today I will discuss the last topic of Unit 3, which is Finding the Meaning of Life, Logotherapy by Dr. Victor Emil Frank. Before I proceed, I will introduce myself first. I am Angel P. Villa Esther. And before I proceed the topic, I'll just share about the short story of how Viktor Emil Frankl developed the theory of logotherapy. So, who is Dr. Viktor Emil Frankl? Viktor Emil Frankl was born on March 26, 1905 in Vienna, Austria. He received his medical doctor and psychological doctor degrees from the University of Vienna, where dito siya nag-study of psychiatry and neurology, focusing on the areas of suicide and depression. After treating thousands of people over 4 years as the head of the suicide prevention department of the General Hospital in Vienna, Frankl took a position as the head of the neurological department at the Rothschild Hospital, one of the few facilities that allow Jews to practice medicine at that time. So, mora ni siya nga hospital nga nisugot nga mag-practice ang Jews, which is belong siya ana nga mag-practice o medicine kana nga time. In 1942, Frankl and his parents, wife, and brother were arrested and sent to the Terzienden concentration camp, where his father died within 6 months. So, the Terzienden was a place where ang Nazis forced ang mga Jews nga who live as a prisoner. So, Nazis means mo ni sila yung mga members sa National Socialist German Workers' Party. Mo ni sila yung mga political group that ruled by Germany from 1993 to 1945. Under ni sila sa under Adolf Hitler. So, what do you mean by Jews? Jews means Jews. Jew means describe the group targeted and persecuted by the Nazis during the Holocaust. Mo ni sila yung mga group targets sa mga Nazis during sa Holocaust, which is apil silang Dr. Viktor Emil Frankl. Mo ni sila yung mga factual identity of reality at that time. So, over the course of 3 years, Frankl was moved between 4 concentration camps, including Auschwitz, where his brother died and his mother was killed. Frankl's wife was died at Bergen-Belsen. When Frank camp was liberated in 1945, he learned of the death of all his immediate family members except for his sister nga ni-immigrate sa Australia. In an effort to prevent suicide attempts, Frank and others tried to help other inmates facing severe depression by encouraging them to reflect on positive memories, scenes, and thoughts. Frank used his personal experience of suffering and loss in the Nazis concentration to develop his theory of logotherapy, which is good therapy in 2020. So, Frank o ang other inmates is nag-help sila para ma-prevent ang suicide sulod sa prisohan. Ilang gina-encourage na mag-reflect sila sa positive memories, scene, o mga thoughts. So, Frank used his personal experiences sa pagsuffer sa pag-loss sa Nazis concentration camps. So, mo nang na-develop niya ang theory ng logotherapy. So, aside from that, another incentive study of self can be found in the work of Dr. Viktor E. Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who wrote the best-selling book, which is The Man's Search for Meaning. So, what Man's Search for Meaning means? So, Dr. Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning is a book based on his experiences as a prisoner in Nazi concentration camps during World War II. So, atong iyang mga experiences na develop niya ang logotherapy, a form of psychotherapy based on the idea that the primary human drive is not pleasure or power, but mag-search sa meaning. So, logotherapy is a term derived from logos, a Greek word that translates as meaning. Logo means meaning. A therapy which is defined as the treatment of condition, illness, or maladjustments. This theory is founded on the belief that human nature is motivated by the search for a life purpose. Logotherapy is the pursuit of the meaning for one's life. So, ang therapy is nakahelp sa person nga ma-discover unsa ang what makes their life meaningful. Pareha sa goals, values, love, faith, or important responsibilities. So, logotherapy is about helping people or helping a person understand why their life matters and what gives it a sense of purpose. So, Dr. Emil Frank has three main components are the heart of Franklin philosophy. First, each person has a healthy core. Each person has an inner strength or goodness, even if they are struggling or suffering. So, for example, even if someone is sad or depressed, like your friend, na depressed or na sad, they still have the ability nga mo care sa other people. Makahimo gihapon sila og kuan, makamake gihapon sila good choices or keep hope alive. Next, second, the primary focus is to enlighten the person about their own internal resources and provide them with the tools to use their inner core. So, ang mga tao, ang mga people, makalearn gihapon sila ang own inner strength like courage, love, creativity, or patience to solve problem or cope with life. So, for example of this is, a student who is afraid of failing a test can use their focus and determination para mag-study and mag-improve instead sa mag-give up lang, diba? So third, life offers you purpose and meaning. It does not owe you a sense of fulfillment or happiness. Life doesn't always make you happy, but it gives you opportunities para maka-find sa meaning. Happiness is not always like automatic. Ang happiness is dili jud automatic. It comes from doing meaningful things. Like for example, ang nurse is working like long hours, like dugay iyang duty. During a crisis, they feel tired and stressed. Like mga doctor and nurses is like stress jud kay sila na kay pila ka oras ang duty, but helping sick people gives her a sense of purpose. Even she isn't always happy. Bisag dili sila happy, nakakuan yapon sila og sense nga nagyapoy purpose, diba? Next, in finding the sense of meaning and purpose in life. So Frank proposed three different ways of ma-discover ang self. First, we have here by creating a work or accomplishing some task. Dili na dayon mosulod ang imo creativity, doing a deed, creating work, fulfilling. So example is this is make you happy, but it gives you opportunities para maka-find sa meaning. Happiness is not always like automatic. Ang happiness is dili jud automatic. It comes from doing meaningful things. Like for example, ang nurse is working like long hours, like dugay iyang duty. During a crisis, they feel tired and stressed. Like mga doctor and nurses is like stress jud kay sila na kay pila ka oras ang duty, but helping sick people gives her a sense of purpose. Even she isn't always happy. Bisag dili sila happy, nakakuan yapon sila og sense nga nagyapoy purpose, diba? Next, in finding the sense of meaning and purpose in life. So Frank proposed three different ways of ma-discover ang self. First, first we have here by creating a work or accomplishing some task. Dili na dayon mosulod ang imo ang creativity, doing a deed, creating work, fulfilling. So example is this is completing a project that maka-benefit sa others. Like doing something, makakuan ka, find purpose by creating or achieving something. Next, second, by experiencing something fully or loving somebody. So, dili na din mosulod ang experiential values, love, beauty, relationship. Example is feeling loved by a partner or moved by nature. Dili maka-find ta og purpose through love, beauty, or enjoying in life. Next, we have here by an attitude that one adopts toward unavoidable suffering. Attitudinal values, choosing one's attitude toward unavoidable suffering. Example, finding purpose while caring for someone ill. Like mag-find ka og purpose by how you handle hard times. No, like example, staying positive lang ka while nag-care gihapon ka sa others nga nagsakit, diba, nag-sick. So we have here Frank believe that suffering is a part of life, and that's man's ultimate freedom is his ability to choose how to respond to any set of given circumstances, even the most painful ones. Additionally, people can find meaning in their lives by identifying the unique rules that only they can fulfill. For example, when a man consulted with Frank due to severe depression following the death of his wife, Frank asked him to consider what would happen if he had died first and his wife had been forced to mourn his death. The man was able to recognize that his own suffering spared his wife from having that experience, which served as corroborative factor and helped relieve his depression. For example, sa gikuan ni Frank is, ang man daw is very depressed after nga namatay iya ang wife. So, si Frank, nag-ask niya, what if you had died first? Then, your wife would suffered losing you. So, ang man is, naka-realize siya nga, ang iyang suffering is actually nakaprotect siyang wife anak nga pain. So, kanila new perspective is naka-help siya nga ma-feel better and find meaning sa iyang own suffering. Another example, a person loses their job, or example, imong friend nakuanan og job, na nawalan og job. Nara na nila unsa ang nila pag-choose. I-choose nila kung ma-feel hopeless lang ba sila, or they can use sa ilang skills para makastart sila og new career, or help others in a new way. So below here are other highlights of logotherapy. There are three basic principles of logotherapy. First, life has meaning under all circumstances, even the most miserable ones. So even sa hardest times nato, life still has a purpose. Second, our main motivation for living is our will to find meaning in life. No, so the main reason is we live is to find meaning in our lives. Third, we have the freedom to find meaning in what we do and what we experience, or at least in stand we take when faced with a situation of unchangeable suffering. Maka-choose gihapon ta sa atong attitude o mag-find sa meaning. Even in suffering, dili na to na siya ma-change. So, we have here the logotherapy assumptions. The human being is an entity consisting of body, mind, and spirit. According to Frank, the body and mind are what we have, and the spirit is what we are. So, para mas simple ang explanation, ani kabalo naman tani. A person has a body and mind and spirit. A person has body, mind, and spirit. The body and mind are what we have, no? So, ang body o mind is naadyo na to. The spirit is our true self, the part that looks for meaning and purpose. Kabalo na ta, anak. Kita, each person has spirit. Each person na ay body, mind, and spirit. So, example, ang isa ka tawo is nagsakit. Like nagsakit siya sa iyang body. Dayon iyang mind is stressed. But naagihapon siya like naka-feel gihapon siya strong siyang spirit because nag-believe man siya nga ang iyang life na adjust purpose. Second, life has meaning under all circumstances, even the most miserable. This assumption is the ultimate meaning that is difficult to grasp, but is something everyone experiences, and it represents an order in a world with laws that go beyond human law. Life always has meaning, even the worst situations. So Frank believed that meaning exists even in suffering, tragedy, or pain. So example of this, same maghapon of if a person loses their job, someone loses their job, maka-feel sila sad, but also maka-find yapon sila meaning by using sa ilang time para mo care sa ilang family pa or learn new skills. Third, people give a will to meaning. This third assumption is seen as our motivation for living and acting. When we see meaning, we are ready for any type of suffering. This is considered to be different than our will to achieve power and pleasure. No, so ang human jud is ganahan jud ta, kita jud mga human is ganahan jud ta makapangita sa meaning, will to meaning. Ang deepest motivation is dili pleasure or power, but purpose. Example, same gihapon, ikuan gihapon nato og kanang nagwork. Ang work, a person working like difficult jobs, dili lang nagtrabaho siya ato kay para sa kwarta, but nisulod siya ato kay want niya mo help sa iyang family or ma-achieve ang iyang dream. No, diba? Like, even kita mga students, hapit na mo graduates, ato dyan sige gihuna-huna is like, bahala na mi ka ng patrabaho lang ko para makabawi sa parents, para makahelp ko nila, diba? Dili lang ako, daghanta. For the number 4, people have freedom under all circumstances to activate the will to find meaning. This assumption is that we are free to activate our will to find meaning, and this can be done under any circumstances. This deals with the change of attitudes about unavoidable fate. So, kita tanan, kita humans, natay always nga freedom nga mopili sa atong attitude. So, even nga kanang situation, dili na to na siya ma-change. Makapili ta, like maka-decide ta unsaon na to pag-respond ang situation. Example, ikaw is na traffic ka sa dalan, nag-drive ka na traffic ka ana, unsaon man na siya, dili na to na siya ma-change kay traffic man na ay traffic enforcer ba or lights, diba, para mo go ka ana, di na to na siya ma-change. So if inana ang case, unsa may buhaton nimo, pwede ka maka-choose nga stay calm lang ka, or imong i-use ang time nga mo listen lang ka sa music, to something like positive instead sa masuko ka, diba? Number 5, life has a demanding quality to which people must respond if decisions are to be meaningful. The 5th assumption, the meaning of the moment, is more practical in daily living than the ultimate meaning. Unlike ultimate meaning, this can be found and fulfilled. This can be done by following the values of society or by following the voice of our conscience. So, life asks something from us every moment. Every moment is nag-give jud sa atoa og chance para makamake ta og choices nga maka-create og meaning. Example, imong friend is gaiyak, your friend is crying. The moment ask us to choose, unsa man? Unsaon man nato? Ato silang murag nag sa elementary nga test, sayon ra kaayo unsa man pasagdan nimo imong friend, bahala na siya, dako na siya, ana lang, di ba? Like maka-choose ta unsa na to, depende og dili nimo friend, dili jud nimo friend, like bahala ka. Pero of course, as a human, dili lang ta basta inana lang kay that's our friend. Ato na siyang i-cheer up, di ba? We can choose unsa na to pag-respond. 6. We have here the individual is unique. This sixth assumption deals with one's sense of meaning. This is enhanced by the realization that we are irreplaceable. So every person is unique and irreplaceable. No one has the same life, personality, or path as you. Example, naay duha ka people nagkaila nimo. Na sila'y pareho sila og job. Each brings their own style, ideas, and personality nga walay bisag isa nga maka-replace ato. So in short, everyone has body, mind, and spirit. Life always has meaning. Ma-motivate ta unsaon pag-find ang meaning. Free ta unsaon pag-choose o unsaon pag-respond ang life. Unsaon nato pag-respond ang every situations. Every moment is nag-ask something from us. And every person is unique and one of a kind. So these beliefs from the foundation of logotherapy. Viktor Frankl approach to helping people to find purpose in life. That's it. Thank you.